I have a great lawyer from a great group, the American Freedom Law Center, with us right now, David Yerushalmi. Can you pronounce your last name so I can get it right, respectfully?
You got it perfect then, Mark. David Yerushalmi.
And you are a terrific litigator, is what I'm told. And I want to talk to you, David, specifically about a case that involves people I know quite well, honorable people, people who are not bigoted. The husband is Jewish. The wife is Muslim. They're small business people. They have a few restaurants. Earth Cafe, this particular one was in Laguna Beach, California. And I'll let you tell the story. What happened?
Well, you've got a wonderful business that specializes in homegrown heirloom coffees. They have a few cafes in Southern California. It's a successful business, but it is considered a small business. They have this wonderful location in Laguna Beach. It fronts the Pacific Coast Highway overlooking the ocean. And on Friday nights and Saturday nights, but especially Friday nights, it is a very hip spot for young people, especially Muslims from the Middle East, to hang out, meet their friends. Everybody wants a table on the front patio, outdoors overlooking the PCH. There are tables indoors and there are tables to the side. The place is packed, but those tables are not in demand. As a result, lines form all night long to get to the patio tables. So the owners, Shalom and Jilla, instituted a policy. It's even written on every table. After 45 minutes, we ask you to share a table, move to another location, get back in line, but this allows the tables and the people to rotate. So everyone has the opportunity to sit down, enjoy a cup of coffee. It's not a full-blown restaurant, it's a cafe. Have a cup of coffee, a croissant, whatever they want, and enjoy it, but not occupy or monopolize it. Well, Friday night, April 22, the place is packed. Packed with young Muslims, other women with hijabs. This particular table was occupied, in fact, there were 3 tables that they had pulled together, by 7 women, 6 of whom were wearing hijabs, and they had been sitting at the table for well over an hour. The line was beginning to form, the crowds were coming in. The manager walked over and informed them of the policy and simply had asked them to move tables. All of a sudden, several of the women start screaming, "You want us to leave the restaurant? We refuse to leave the restaurant." It was almost on cue. It was as if it were practiced. 2 minutes later, another manager comes to just explain the policy. The women again are carrying on and causing a scene. Finally, the security guard goes over and asks them to leave. What are the women doing in the meantime? They're taking their video cameras, walking indoors where there's a few tables open, but that's expected, or to the side of the patio where there's a few tables open, that's expected, and proclaiming that they're being thrown out of the cafe because they're being discriminated against. No one else is being asked to leave. Well, that's simply false. The policy is the policy. There were other women wearing hijabs. They weren't being asked to leave because they were living by the policy. The women continue to carry on. Jilla Berkman, one of the owners, was asked by the managers, what should we do? This is the situation. And she said, do exactly as the police have instructed us. If we have a problem at the restaurant, call them and they'll handle it. The police were called. It took 20 more minutes to get these women to finally leave. In other words, they occupied the tables after having been asked by the security guard to finally leave. They walked around the restaurant videotaping personnel and customers without any permission because now they were expected to leave. They disrupted business and finally they left. The very next day, posted on the lead plaintiff's website, Sarah Fasak's website, a young Palestinian woman who belongs to organizations that call for the destruction of the State of Israel, the video and a narrative claiming that they were forced to leave because they were eating or dining while being Muslim, i.e. they were wearing hijabs. Now, of course, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because the restaurant was full of young Muslims. Why would these women be singled out? Next thing we know, the Council on American Islamic Relations, almost the very next day, starts issuing press releases that this is something to be investigated, must be looked into. Lo and behold, the women are hooked up with a plaintiff's injury lawyer, and they're on the steps of the courthouse giving a press conference announcing this with great fanfare this lawsuit claiming that the restaurant discriminated against these women because they were Muslim and wearing a hijab. And that's where we stepped in. We were retained, and we've now answered the lawsuit, and we've counterclaimed with a lawsuit of our own for trespass.
You know, it is incredible to me. Here these restaurateurs, and I know them, and they're wonderful people, and they don't have a bigoted bone in their body, and as you point out, Jill is Muslim. And they're just trying to run their business. I've been at that restaurant. I was there once. It gets extremely crowded. I know exactly what you're talking about. As a matter of fact, I had to eat inside. I couldn't get outside and look out. Not that I wanted to, but those areas are packed. And so it's a rational, reasonable policy and rule. Everybody's well aware of it. And you're right, this is a setup. It's a setup. And these people, the restaurateurs, they get dragged into this stuff. And if it wasn't for you and a group like yours, I don't know what they would do. They would have to spend an enormous amount of money just to keep their doors open. Because what are the damages? Do we know the damages that CARE and their clients are seeking here?
They, of course, claim all sorts of emotional distress and seek punitive damages. They don't actually put a number on it. But CARE and its counterparts in the Muslim Brotherhood groups that flourish in this country are practiced at exactly this kind of litigation. You might recall the case of the flying imams, these imams that were flying on American Airlines, and they were demanding seatbelts and engaging in all kinds of strange behavior, and they were asked to leave the plane. Well, they also sued with CARE backing them. And American Airlines eventually caved in because even they could not afford the litigation costs, the distraction from running a business, and the bad publicity that comes because, of course, the mainstream media gravitates right to the victimization narrative of the Muslim women, and they don't want to hear from the restaurateurs. We've had the opportunity with your program and others to get the word out, but this is a long battle. Most people would cave. Shalom and Jilla are two restaurateurs with backbone, integrity, and most importantly, they don't want their employees labeled as bigots.
Do you think CARE and their clients looked into this restaurant? Do you think they looked into the backgrounds of Shalom and Jilla, and they don't like the fact that here we have a Jew and a Muslim who marry?
You know, almost anything is possible with CARE. And
I mean, who's to say they're not the bigots?
Right. And until we get into the discovery, and we will get to the text, to the emails, we will get to the bottom of the motivation, because this, as you say, just smells like a setup. You know, if it quacks like a setup and it walks like a setup, it probably is a setup.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to encourage everybody listening to this program now, including people all throughout California, to go to the restaurant. It's the Earth Cafe. It's in Laguna Beach, California. These are honorable, patriotic Americans. They're just doing their own thing. It happens to be a wonderful restaurant. It has wonderful food and really unique coffees and so forth. I know these two people. They don't have a bigoted bone in their body. And yes, this smells like a complete setup to me. And all the people had to do is move to the open tables like everybody else with or without hijabs. But they wanted to be treated differently. And that's what tells me that I believe this is likely a setup. And I'm glad you're there, David, and I'm glad your organization, American Freedom Law Center. If people want to learn more about your center, or if they want to give it support because you are at the point of the spear fighting so much of these things, you and your partner, where do they go?
They can go to AmericanFreedomLawCenter.org and read all about us and about this case and follow it in real time.
Mr. Producer, let's get that up, please, on my Facebook and Twitter social sites. That's AmericanFreedomLawCenter.org. You're like the anti-CARE, the way I view it, and that's a damn good thing. David Yerushalmi, God bless you, my friend. Take care of yourself and give my best to them, to the Berkmans.
Thank you, Mark.
All right, you take care. They're friends, they're good people, and of course they get sucked into this, and we're going to keep an eye on this. Spread the word. Check out this website. It's very, very important.